It's not every day that a single comic storyline spawns an ongoing series and then later creates a universe. However, if any Marvel character had the power to do so, it would be Logan, aka Wolverine, most of the time. Now, a lot of people might be more familiar with the Logan movie. It was excellent, came out a few years ago, and it showcased Logan in his last few days. Old Man Logan, the comic, was obviously an inspiration, but it is its own beast. And today, I want to talk about not only that, but the sequel and the universe that it created after. Millar wrote an 8-issue storyline in his Wolverine run, which would be labeled as Old Man Logan. And this started in 2008, and the impact was undeniably big. With this storyline being in the future, and basically a what if, Millar had a lot more freedom. And despite the criticism of the creator, me, myself, having some big issues with Millar to the point where he blocked me on Twitter, we'll get to that one day in a different video, he had a lot more free reign, which means more outrageous storylines, and that works for this type of creator. While the storyline starts a little somber with Logan just living out his life in the desert, or we call it the wasteland, with his family, it quickly takes a violent turn. Of course, this is Logan. When the Hulk gang shows up and demands their pay, Logan, of course, tells them in a nicer way to fuck off. And with that, Logan gets stomped out and almost murdered. This leaves him in Logan critical condition, which most people would be dead, but Logan just kind of self-heals. But right away, you're starting to learn that he doesn't heal like he used to. So that is already building Logan into a new character that we're not used to, that he's not going to just be able to grow back all his parts so quick. He then embarks on a mission with none other than Hawkeye to deliver a package. And this adventure through the wasteland is where we really get the heart of the story for Logan. Sure, there's still very much over-the-top adventure scenes, including Logan going head-to-head with a gang of Ghost Riders. That's right, you heard me right. Ghost Riders with an S at the end. This world, Millar makes sure, is still over-the-top and insane because that's what he's good at. I mean, at one point, you even have Venom Dinosaur. That's right, a T-Rex with the symbiote on it. I mean, you just can't take this shit too serious because it's insane. And kind of great at the same time, and really stupid all in one. But while that stuff happens, there are some great moments. Moments like the loss of his family triggering Logan to do what he does best. Exact revenge on those who hurt his loved ones. So with Logan, as I said, he doesn't heal as quick, but he still can't die. And this brings up some great moments for him. But one of the best moments in the entire series is the backstory of how he came to be this kind of lonely man. What happened to the X-Men? Well, through his background, you learn that he slaughtered the X-Men when he was under the illusion of Mysterio in a savage, brutal, and, well, let's be honest, screwed up fight where it paints a picture for you in the best way possible. You're seeing everything through the eyes of Logan, and Logan basically sees like every horrible villain that we know in Marvel Universe breaking into the X-Mansion, and he's doing everything he can to protect the X-Men by killing them all. Little did he know, all those people he was killing were the X-Men themselves, and the payoff, while a bit dark, is really good and works well for someone like Logan in this story setting. So the story progresses after that, and Logan basically just does what he does best and goes up and fucks up Red Skull. He's one of the main villains in this series, and it's in a beautiful fashion, especially after what Red Skull did to our poor and lovely Captain America. So the story overall ends with a lot of loss, but with some triumph. With losing people, he gains a new companion, one that might change his future and the Wasteland's future as well, because he adopts Little Hulk Jr. Now, this cute little bundle of green is just too cute, and it's an interesting twist to gain something after losing it all. And I won't say that I think this is like the best Wolverine story of all time, but I will give credit where credit is due. It's unique, and it's off the walls enough to stand out from a lot of other Logan stories. But don't take my word for it, not only did this spawn a sequel years later, but it also spawned an ongoing series that ran for 4+ years. So let's get to that. So first up is a direct sequel, which is written by Michael Brian Bendis and drawn by Sarantino. And this sequel is actually a spin-off for an event called Secret Wars, which is a great event, guys. Definitely check it out. And that event is basically when Battle Worlds were created, which is basically just taking a bunch of different timelines and what-ifs and things like that. And that is all coming to an end because all the worlds are colliding, things like that. And that brings in the Old Man Logan universe. Now, this storyline is not great. I don't even think this is actually a good comic, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of Bendis' work, despite some of his mishaps. I did not like this at all, and you can look at the ratings. It is not good. The storyline feels badly constructed and mostly just made up to introduce Logan into the main 616 universe. And Bendis just doesn't really seem capable of writing a darker and broken hero anymore. So I just think this was kind of a meh comic. But luckily, this was a very short series, and Old Man Logan would get his own actual series with the all-new, all-different Marvel era beginning. This run would go on to do 50+ issues and end with Dead Man Logan, which, by the title, you can probably guess how it ends. This had 2 main writers and a few different artists. The first half of the series was written by Jeff Lemire, while the second half was written by Ed Brisson. Both do admirable jobs with a character like Old Man Logan now stuck in the 616 universe. The art of Sarantino returns, and it works best with someone like Lemire since they worked together prior on Green Arrow, which, if you guys don't know, I love and did videos on that. Now, Lemire's portion of the run is basically Logan trying to find his place in this world. The very first arc is really just him trying to make amends for the future. But he's attacking the wrong people. He's going after someone like Hulk, but in this universe, the 616 universe, Hulk is now Cho. And on top of that, he goes to Hawkeye, only it's not Clint, it's Kate. So he's kind of a fish out of the water type of guy, trying to understand what to do next and learning that the future is ever changing and what happened in the modern day is not what's going to happen in the future. So my biggest takeaway from the series is it is enjoyable, but there is a lot of brooding Logan, which I guess is funny saying that since that's kind of his MO, but it's even more than usual. This is Logan who has been through shit, and brooding is just gonna come in waves. Lots of waves, like a tsunami. But we do get some solid storylines here, including one that I enjoyed of him protecting his future wife. It's weird since she is, of course, a lot younger here, but also makes 100% sense that he'll do anything to protect her after she died because of him in the future. So I did think that was pretty touching. Now, the run ends with, what if I can do things different or do things right? And it's actually a kind of bittersweet ending. It hits the right emotional beats. It gets to showcase Logan wanting to do good because despite people loving him for being a savage and outside the comics, it's really the tender moments that always made me a Logan fan. And the end of Lemire's run feels like a solid send-off, though not complete closure. Now, I'll be honest, when that last issue came out for Lemire, I was kind of just like, I'm okay at ending here. However, I gotta also be honest, I'm very glad that it didn't, because Brisson comes on board and he just blows it out of the water with his run. Right out of the gates, Brisson decides to bring back the inbred Hulks from the future back into Logan's life. The very first arc is Logan trying to survive against these crazy, insane son of a bitches as they go hunting for him. The arc is a long, basically survival fight scene, and I gotta be honest, I loved every second of it. Now, Brisson gives a shot of adrenaline into this run, and well, like I said, I enjoyed the softer side of Logan. This was the right moment to go balls to the walls, since we did end on a more somber manner in the Lemire run, so this was a great way to kind of flip it for you guys. Now, of course, Brisson goes to write for 25 issues plus the 12-issue Dead Man Logan, so the rest of the run will have its ups and downs as always. I wasn't a huge fan of some storylines like the Scarlet Samurai arc, But oh man, when Bullseye shows his ugly ass self, it is so fun. Bullseye is, like you guys know, a lethal son of a bitch, and Logan's healing factor has slowed down, bringing some of the most epic and brutal fights I've seen in a while, and I really enjoyed a lot of this. It's a lot of chase scenes, a lot of cutting, a lot of beating with fists. It is just that raw energy that only Logan and someone as despicable as Bullseye can bring to the table, and to me, that's the highlight of Brisson's run, on top of the, of course, epic beginning with the Hulks. Now, the entire series ends with Dead Man Logan. This is a 12-part mini that is the final goodbye to the hero. It ends in the way you probably expected, but a few surprises and goodbyes that felt very heartfelt. Do I think it's the greatest ending ever? No. But do I think it's a very solid ending to a character? Very much so. But that's just the end of Logan. Since this series ran so long, and it was obviously so popular at Marvel, they decided to bring other characters from that timeline back. Thus, we got 2 more series and even more one-shots, and we're going to talk about that right now. The first up on this expanded universe was Hawkeye. Now, if you read the main series, you have an idea of what happened to Hawkeye. He was working with the West Coast Avengers, and he got betrayed and lost his entire team. This book is actually mostly about him in the current future time, but we do dip back into the past to expand his story some more. The highlight of the book is definitely learning what happened to the West Coast Avengers, and despite me hating some of the deaths and think they're absolutely awful and don't make any sense to the characters, it was still enjoyable to see, and Hawkeye dealing with that loss is great. It's not the greatest book though, and I gotta be honest, it was for the first time for me feeling like we're teetering towards the unnecessary part of this timeline, but you do get to see both Hawkeyes team up again, and that is always a pleasure. Next up is Old Man Quill. Learning about his life and how he lost the Guardians, or lost his way from the Guardians and then coming back into his life, I actually thought that was the most exciting part of the book, and the rest I was kind of let down. It does expand into the cosmic universe in this Old Man Logan timeline, learning what happened more with the crazy church cult and all that, so it did have some things going for it. Saying that, none of it really was interesting, to me anyway, if I'm being honest. I didn't get attached to Quill like I hope I would, and I didn't have that crazy over-the-top moments that the original Old Man Logan storyline gave. Saying that, fans of the Guardians of the Universe, or even Star-Lord, will probably find this one at least enjoyable. For me, it was the one that solidified that I felt this was very unnecessary to add to the Old Man Logan universe. But that's not all. At the very end of 2021, we got 5 issues, 5 one-shots called Wastelanders. It decided to focus on different characters for each issue, so we had Black Widow, Doom, Star-Lord, Hawkeye, and Wolverine. And funny enough, the strongest issue for me were the ones that had nothing to do with the characters we already had done. So, Black Widow and Doom were easily the most entertaining storylines for me. I do recommend checking both out. They're only one shot, so they go by very quick, but they are very interesting. Saying that, it was cool to get a little bit more expanded stories on the other characters too, but nothing really was mind-blowing. So if you kind of skip this, it's okay, but I do recommend Black Widow and Doom. Those were actually really interesting and something a bit different. And that about covers the expanded universe. My view on them is basically unnecessary, but decent. I don't find them awful or bad in any way, just not something I'd recommend buying right out of the gate, at least for me. My personal feelings aside, the fact that each of these series is here, and they're 12 issues, and then we have a 5 one-shot mini-series, I guess, going on, people are eating this shit up. So whether I say it's good or not doesn't really matter. People love it. The Old Man universe, as that's what I call it, well, I don't particularly find all that interesting anymore. It is huge. People are attracted to this alternate timeline, and they love it. Gives me hope for more what ifs and Elseworlds, because I absolutely love those, even if I think this one overstayed its welcome. So to sum it up, not every character with a dystopian-side future can pull this off. I mean, you had characters like Batman and Dark Knight Returns back in the 80s that used that grim, dark feel to add to the main continuity. So things like that do happen. But for the most part, I can't think of many future timelines that hit the ground running like Old Man Logan. And I can think of a lot of failures like that, like Spider-Man Reign, which thank God we have not revisited. Oh my God, one day I'll do a video on that piece of shit. But my point is, Old Man Logan decided to come in and make an impact, creating his own set universe, and it's still going. The fact that it has staying power almost 15 years later, I mean, that alone is crazy. But it also had enough references in the multi-million-dollar movie Logan, proving that it is a success to do a storyline about this character. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think the universe of it is even perfect. But it is fascinating that it created such a big, long-lasting impact on the Marvel comic line. Guys, I had a pleasure doing this one. It is a very long video, though, so I'm sure you're like, shut the fuck up. So I will. I just wanted you guys to know that I am still going to create more content. Check out my Patreon. I actually put one up. It would mean the world to me if you do join. I have all the tiers there on the website, so I'm not going to go into it, so check that out. And I have so many more comic videos, and I actually have 2 video game videos in my mind that I want to do. So keep on the lookout. Hope you guys all have a great day. If you like this, please like, subscribe, and the biggest thing is share, because that's how this gets around and people start loving my videos, I hope. Everyone, have a good day.